Welcome to What Are Those, the show that explores the art of sneaker culture. I'm your host, Adam Butler, back with another episode. Thank you so kindly for being here. So, this week, we're going to have some fun on the show. It might be a little controversial, but it's going to be a more fun topic, okay? Last week, I yelled a lot. We talked about, sneaker culture in a whole. Got a lot of dope responses to the episode, though, so I'm very, very happy about that. And I do want to address that really quickly before we get into this week's topic, which I think you all will like. Okay, I had a lot of resellers on my Instagram reel. By the way, MSR_Adam, MSR_Adam. You can check out that reel. Had a lot of resellers in the comments. Hey, nice banter, nice back and forth. I think most people agree with me about the Jordan 1 not being dead and about how, people shop. But I think there's a difference, and I think this is the key. There's a difference between how a crazed sneakerhead like myself, and no, I won't even put myself in that category. I'm a sneakerhead, but I think there's a difference between like how a sneakerhead that's concerned with hype, and this is not an insult, and this is what I want people to understand. A sneakerhead that is into the hype and into getting the latest, greatest, and wants to resell themselves or wants to buy the sneaker for a certain agenda. There's a difference between the way that person shops, or a person with a rack of money. There's a difference between the way that person shops and just the average consumer, even the average sneakerhead. I think the average sneakerhead, again, just wants to be able to walk into a store or win a raffle or shop online, what have you, or even get something on the resale, not have to spend half their check or all of their check or half their rent. And they're not concerned about whether Drake is wearing this or whether this is reselling for that amount of money. They want to wear something that looks good. And if you take that a step down, as I said last week, the non-sneakerhead, the person that just likes sneakers, it's just a part of their wardrobe, just likes to, dress nice, whatever it may be, or just wants to put on something cool, they're not concerned about the hype. They just want something that looks good. And if it looks good, it's sitting in the store. That's what Nike and Adidas and Reebok and even New Balance, depending on the New Balance, lived off this for years. It's not a Slade Bembury or a Jound or anything like that. It's just a New Balance. So, again, I'm not going to repeat everything I said last week. I just wanted to stress that because some people, wanted to kind of argue back and forth. And, I don't really do that in the comments. But I will say that I appreciate everybody that commented on that post. That post is growing. I love it. I love the banter. I love the discussion. That's why we do this show. That's why I think sneaker culture is cool, because it sparks conversation. Okay, so big shout outs to y'all. Thank you to everybody that, went onto my page and continue to comment on that post. One more quick thing before we get to the topic of the week. I do want to encourage you guys to, again, check out my other podcasts. And thank you for supporting this podcast. Thank you for supporting the Up On Game Network. Continue to support the Up On Game Network. Of course, we got so much dope content. More content coming. It feels like every week we got something new popping up on Up On Game, and I'm very proud of that. I think this is really, really dope. Okay, and you can also check out this show, obviously, on the Up On Game Network. But follow me, MSR_Adam, once again. And then you can check out the Butler Did It podcast, which is not a sneaker podcast, which is not like a fashion podcast at all, but it is a lifestyle podcast. It is a pop culture podcast. It is a current event podcast. It is a mental health podcast. It's everything wrapped in one. It's just really my thoughts, and I interview a lot of dope people, so check out that. I had my wife on the last episode. I think it was really, really cool. So check out the Butler Did It podcast, the Butler Did It Pro on YouTube, the Butler Did It Pro on YouTube, okay? Check me out. Actually, I'm sorry. It's the Butler Did It Pro on Instagram, okay? It's the Butler Did It Podcast Hub. The Butler Did It Podcast Hub on YouTube. Either way, you can follow me, MSR_Adam, and you can get the link tree, and it will take you wherever you want to go in regards to your boy, okay? All right, so here we are, topic of the week, and I told you all would like this one, all right? This week, because it's been the NBA playoffs, and I haven't really had an opportunity to address the NBA playoffs. By the way, the Memphis Grizzlies, I'm sorry you're a Memphis Grizzly fan out there. I love John Morant. John Morant is actually one of my favorite basketball players. He's been a little goofy this season, but he's a young boy, so we're going to forgive him. But, man, as a team, God, that squad is goofy, and they're kind of getting everything they deserve. Sorry to all my Memphis fans out there. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. But, man, the Memphis Grizzlies, you poke that bear, you better be ready. That's all I got to say about that. You poke a bear, that bear being LeBron James, you better be ready. I'm about trash talk, okay? But you better be able to back up that trash talk. All right, so that's that. It's NBA playoffs, okay? The show's about sneakers. So what we're going to do today is count down the top 5. My top 5. My personal top 5, as my man Greg says, to me, my top 5 signature NBA sneakers, non-Jordan NBA sneakers. My personal top 5. We're going to jump right into it. Number 1, let's go. Okay, so number 1, we starting off with something from my childhood, from one of the greatest defenders of all time, one of the best point guards of all time. We need to keep the man Gary Payton on our minds. We must never forget Gary Payton, okay? Gary Payton was not only one of the most influential and best basketball players of all time, especially of his era, but he also had one of the coolest and most unique signature sneakers ever. It's the glove. You remember this joint? Man, okay, so for the youngins out there, Gary Payton was known as the glove because he was a great defender, okay? He could pick your pocket. He was the glove. So Nike came up with a signature sneaker called the glove. This thing actually re-released about 10 years ago. I remember sitting in stores. I almost bought the sneaker. I don't know what stopped me from buying this one. I can't tell you. I would probably never be able to pull the sneaker off today. I'm not going to lie. I like to think I could wear a lot of stuff, but this one, I'm not sure. I don't know. I have to think about this. I'm sure I could find it on eBay or something like that. I'd have to think about this. But the coolest thing about this sneaker was that it had the glove theme. So this thing, and I tried to find some pictures of it, this thing actually zipped down in the middle and kind of revealed like the actual silhouette of the sneaker and the actual look of the sneaker. So some people like to wear it zipped down and kind of show the other piece. Some people wore them zipped up. Some people wore one zipped up and one kind of like exposed. It was a super cool sneaker, okay? It was super impactful. This was at a time where Nike was really striving to be different. Nike basketball, you know, I think the peak of Nike basketball, it depends on how you look at it. Some people really say like the peak of Nike basketball was like in the 2010s, you know, the late 2000s, early 2010s. We had KDs and LeBrons and, you know, Kyrie's kind of jumped in there a little bit later. Even like the Paul George joints was kind of doing this thing later on in the 2010s. Or you could say it was the 90s when you had a lot of, and it wasn't just Nike basketball, but really we were like, every athlete had a sneaker, all sorts of brands. It depends. I think that's a good question for you guys. What was the best era of Nike basketball or just basketball signature sneakers? Was it the 90s or was it the 2010s? You tell me. Either way, in the 90s and the 2010s, we were really striving to be different. The technology was there, but it was really about a look. The sneaker really reflected the person. You had the Dennis Rodman joints that did not make my list, the worms, and they were real crazy looking because it was Dennis Rodman. You know what I mean? You had the foam, the Tim Duncan foams, and they were real like, solid and like serious looking, but had a little bit of flash, similar to Tim Duncan. I could go on and on and on, man. So this is number 5 on my list. I really like this sneaker. Not necessarily something I would wear nowadays, but it just brings back so many memories, and it really, really represents the player. The glove joints, man, the Gary Paytons. Y'all remember this if you're an old head like me. Let's get to number 4 on this list. Okay, so number 4 is a sneaker that has re-released over the past couple of years. They've kind of oversaturated it. However, I understand and I get it, and I think it's a good thing for the player involved. Not commenting on money or anything like that. I just think that we never need to forget the one and only Allen Iverson, obviously one of the greatest of all time. Okay, this was a man that helped put Reebok on the map. And when this sneaker came out when we were younger, it was definitely fire. And when they re-released it, a lot of people were very happy about it. You can still find these in stores. You're talking about the AI question, okay? The first joints. These things were. I mean, look, it's just a cool looking sneaker. But I think Allen Iverson really carried this sneaker, and then obviously the answers and everything that came afterwards. I think it was all about AI. You know, this sneaker is great. It's an easy wear, you know, especially this particular colorway, the 6er colorway. Is a really easy wear. You know, it was clean, all of that, like AI's game. But I think people really wanted this joint because it was Allen Iverson's sneaker, and that really speaks to his cultural impact. Allen Iverson had the potential in terms of streetwear, in terms of, I mean, people were dressing like AI all the time, okay? But Allen Iverson had the potential, and someone else on this list did too, to have the cultural impact of Michael Jordan. I think his mistake was signing with Reebok, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think Reebok really had the gas to really put out anything super innovative. At the end of the day, Reebok is Reebok, no disrespect. I think maybe even if he was with Adidas, and definitely if Iverson was with Nike, I think that sneaker line could really be something close to what Jordan has, maybe even closer to what LeBron has, right? Or even what Kyrie had. You know, I think there could have been more of this. And I think that the Reebok thing was a risk. It worked at the time. It actually worked a little bit later. But it's just something about that Nike stamp. Let's just be honest, y'all. Come on. I don't got to lie on here. Let's be honest about that Nike stamp. That Nike stamp is just something different, man. That Nike stamp is it's different. And so I think that I'm happy Allen Iverson had this signature sneaker. He had about 2 more after this that mattered. I just think it could have been more. But I'm happy that Reebok is looking out for AI. I'm happy that every now and then this sneaker drops. And for sneakerheads and people that, again, walk into the store, this is the type of sneaker that when you walk into the store, it's there. And kids buy it, which is a good thing because, again, that's a kid thinking about Allen Iverson, right, that never saw AI play. And it's a sneaker that's available that people can go, you know what, this is a dope sneaker. It's probably like $80, $110, something like that. Let me go ahead and cop me a pair of these. And that legacy lives, at least from a fashion standpoint, and at least from a sneaker standpoint. We're not forgetting the one and only AI, who, by the way, was one of the dopest to ever do it. Okay, so the AI question, you know, super dope. The marketing behind it, all of his sneakers was always super dope, man. I'm a big fan of these. I like them. That's number 4 on my list. Let's get to number 3. Okay, so number 3 I actually have in my possession. Now listen, this is my personal list. Okay, this is my personal list. A lot of people say this isn't even the dopest penny, but to me, it is the Air Penny 2. I copped these recently. This is the I believe it's the Social Status. Yeah, this is the Social Status collaboration. So it's a little bit different. It's got the pink hits and all that. I think the other one has like a little, I'm not about to go grab that, but it has, you know, it's got different stuff going on, and the packaging is super dope. But it for the most part, this was the Penny 2. It had the Orlando Magic colorways. First off, that Orlando Magic team in the 90s was so phenomenal and so cool. They were, you know, you had the Chicago Bulls, and that was my mob, okay? The Chicago Bulls. But there was 2 young teams in the 90s that was trying to creep on the Bulls. One successfully did it, and that's the Orlando Magic. And then, believe it or not, it was actually the Washington Bullets with Chris Webber, with Calbert Chaney, with Juwan Howard, with Rasheed Wallace and all of them, man. That team was super cool as well. They just didn't have a real opportunity to really do anything. But this Orlando Magic team was so cool. And everybody remembers Shaq, and Shaq is obviously one of the best big men ever. But Penny Hardaway, in the short window of time he had, not only could have gone down as one of the greatest basketball players ever had he not got injured, but also, like I was saying about that Iverson line, the Penny line could have definitely competed with the Jordan line. My man was dropping bangers. He had the Penny 1. He also had the Penny 2. Then we got into the phone posits. I think there's another penny in there I'm not thinking about. There was a lot going on, man. So for me, it was hard to choose. I'm a DC guy, so I was so tempted to pick the phone posit one. I was definitely, it was almost a no-brainer. But I had to go with this one because when I think about this sneaker and how excited I got when this thing started re-releasing and there was opportunities to buy it, man, for me, this is one of those ones when I'm wearing it for me. Okay, it might get some attention. Sometimes it doesn't. Doesn't matter. This thing right here, I think is just wonderful, and it's definitely on my list, man. I think about this. I think of me and my best friend Derek, man. We was kids. We had this sneaker, man. Like, it's just that's the cool stuff. That's the cool stuff about sneaker culture. So again, for me personally, this is number 3 on my list of greatest non-Jordan signature NBA sneakers. The Penny 2. I know some people are going to disagree with this one, but I like this one right here. This one for me is the go-to for sure. All right, that's number 3 on my list. Let's get to number 2. Okay, so number 2 on my personal list, your man Charles Barkley got to be on this one, man. We got the CB2 Air Max joints. Ooh, boy, re-released a couple of years ago. I think they've had a couple of re-releases. I love this thing, man. Think about this, okay? Think about Charles Barkley now, right? TV personality, controversial figure in some ways, funny guy. I always say, like, when you look at older NBA players, a lot of times younger people sleep on these older guys because they're older now. They got a little belly, they got a little, the muscle structure ain't the same. They're a little softer now. They're funny. They're wearing suits. They're on television. They're gray, whatever. But Charles Barkley, in his day, was menacing on the court, ferocious on the court. Charles put a 56 on you, no problem. And he was not a super big dude. He played big, though. That was the thing about Barkley, man. He's like Draymond Green with top-notch 10-level skill. Dude was amazing. And Barkley had some cool sneakers. And he had that, he had that whole campaign, I'm not a role model. He was a bad boy. Man, Charles Barkley, cultural significance on the game in the 90s was nothing to scoff at. And these sneakers were dope. And then when I see people wearing them, I'm shocked I don't have a pair of these, to be honest with you. I'm going to probably have to look into getting them just because, again, like the Penny 2, it's just something that is nostalgic for me. It's like that Diamond Turf I always pull out on this show, man. Nobody cares about the Diamond Turf, but I do. It means something to me. And these sneakers just remind me of being 7th, 8th grade. Just super nostalgic, man. I remember the impact that Charles Barkley had on the game. It still has on the game, but it's different now. Charles Barkley was cool, man. He was a cool player. He was an edgy player, and his sneakers just felt edgy. You know what I mean? Again, Jordans are on another level. You don't compare nothing to a Jordan, but Jordans were Jordans, obviously, right? This felt like he was doing something a little different. You know what I mean? I just think, and again, there's other Barkleys that people may pick. For real, I had to kind of think about which Barkley I was going to go with. But I'm going with this one because this, to me, is the standard of the Charles Barkley basketball line. Charles Barkley's another one. All these people, honestly, had the opportunity to compete with Mike in terms of sneakers, okay? None of them did, but you had the opportunity. So this one right here, for me, that's number 2 on my list. I love it. It was a toss-up again of which Barkley I was going to go with, but I think this particular Barkley is the one for me. Okay, so now here we are. Let's get to number 1 on the list. All right. Here we go. Your man, the king, LeBron James. I was talking about the Memphis Grizzlies last night because LeBron bitch punked them Bama stuff. That's why it's on my mind. LeBron straight punked the Memphis Grizzlies in overtime last night, okay? LeBron James, obviously one of the greatest basketball players to ever live. For many people, he is the GOAT. I still say it's MJ, but that's okay. It doesn't matter, to be honest with you, because he is what he is, and certainly for his generation, he is the king. No doubt for a couple of generations, LeBron James is that dude, and he's had plenty of sneakers, so I know this one will also be controversial as well, because which number of LeBron you going to pick, right? So for me, and I'm not even going to pick a specific colorway because it was too hard. It's the LeBron 9, man. We talk about Nike basketball and what was going on at that time in the 2000s. In the 2010s. Nike basketball. That Watch the Throne era, by the way, the Watch the Throne. LeBron 9. Sorry, I meant to say the LeBron 9. That Watch the Throne, the Big Bang, South. Oh, my God. All this stuff, man. They was re-releasing them recently. Some of them sat, and that's cool, but that's just because the fit in basketball shoes, I get it. But man, oh man, you had to be outside when this was going on. What a feeling. What a feeling, man. The LeBrons and the KDs, all that was so just banger. Fire after fire after fire after fire. The LeBron 9 and the LeBron 9 line, to me, is the best signature sneaker line not named Jordan. And isn't that ironic that LeBron and Jordan still, okay? It's funny, right? LeBron Jordan. This is how it is. And that's okay, man. It speaks to his greatness because you have to be a great player in order for these sneakers to matter in the first place. We'll see what John Morant does. We'll see what the Giannis do. You know, the Hardens. We'll see how they do, right? And again, selling basketball sneakers is a little bit difficult in terms of, lifestyle and what we're into these days. But the LeBron 9, I mean, to Watch the Throne and the alone, it's just, again, that whole era, man. I can go on and on and on. This is my number one, hands down, for me, the LeBron 9. If I'm not going to wear a Jordan, honestly, if you got to tell me I got to wear a basketball sneaker, I'm probably going with a LeBron 9. That's just me. I love the sneaker, man. I love the look of it, everything about it. To me, it's perfect. So that's my number one. But I want to know what your list is. What did I miss? I know I missed plenty. I only did 5, okay? What did I miss? What would you put on the list? What would you replace, right? What would you agree with? All of that, let me know. Hit me up in the comment section and let me know what you think. All right, we come to the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. A lot of heat dropping. We got Amamanier, Olives dropping. We got those Wizards Jordan 3s dropping. I want to know if you had the opportunity to cop either one. I think I'm going to try for I don't think I am going to try for both of them. We'll see how things turn out. All right. But I'm excited about both those sneakers and a lot of cool stuff coming out as well, man. So keep your eye out, man. Let's have fun with sneaker culture. As I always say, make sneaker culture fun again. Okay. Again, thank you so much for all the engagement on my last post. This is what I love. This is what I want from this show. This is what we want from the show. So let's keep it going. Okay. Let's keep that going. All right. Remember, you can follow the team Up On Game Network at Up On Game Network. Follow them on Instagram, Twitter, all social platforms. Follow them on all podcasting platforms, and of course, follow them on YouTube for all of the content. Follow the squad, the On My Feet Network. All sorts of cool stuff going on over there as well. And remember, always follow me. Please do me that favor. MSR_Adam. MSR_Adam. Follow me for the What Are Those podcast content. Of course, follow me for the Butler Did It. All of that stuff. The link tree's right there. My reels are there. My TikToks are there. I keep the conversation going on all week. So let's do it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Mind your mental health. Remember to mind your mental health is super important. Remember to mind your physical health. Super important. But never forget and always continue to be great. I'm up out of here. Peace.